At 33,000 feet, higher than most commercial planes dare to venture, Ewa Wisniewska was caught in the grip of a nightmare. The once peaceful skies had morphed into a monstrous storm, swallowing her whole. Her paraglider jerked violently in the roaring winds, yanked and tossed like a toy in the hands of a merciless giant. It was no longer just about surviving. It felt like she was battling the storm itself, an enemy far more powerful and terrifying than she ever imagined. The thin air was suffocating. Every breath she took felt like her lungs were filled with shards of glass. And the cold, oh, the freezing, bone-numbing cold. It wasn't just discomfort, it was a predator, creeping into her bones, stealing her warmth, threatening to paralyze her completely. Her body, once strong and capable, now trembled under the crushing weight of altitude and the merciless cold. Her fingers, numb and stiff, struggled to grip the control lines of her glider as her muscles screamed in protest from the brutal strain. Fear surged through her veins like wildfire. This wasn't just a fight against the elements, it was a fight against her very instincts. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. Her breaths came in shallow gasps, the oxygen around her thinning by the second. Her muscles were locking up from the cold, and her mind was a swirling chaos of panic and dread. How did this happen so fast? Ewa asked herself in terror. The morning had started out serene and calm, the perfect day for paragliding, but now she was plunged into a fight for her life, surrounded by a storm that showed no mercy. The wind howled like a beast from some ancient nightmare, clawing at her with ferocity, dragging her deeper into the eye of the storm. Each gust felt like a brutal punch, knocking the breath from her lungs, twisting her glider in directions she could barely anticipate. Her body was being battered, tossed and jerked like a puppet on strings at the mercy of nature's fury. Desperation gripped her as tightly as the cold. Her mind screamed for control, but control was slipping away. Her fingers, frozen and stiff, gripped the glider's lines, but it was futile. She was no longer the one flying. The storm had taken over. It was terrifying, an overwhelming force that made her feel smaller and more fragile than she ever thought possible. Then a crucial decision loomed in the back of her mind: resist the storm or surrender to it. Years of training had taught her one thing: fighting a storm this strong could spell certain death. But giving up control felt equally terrifying. What would happen if she let go? With a shuddering breath, she chose the latter. She released her tight grip on the control lines and relaxed her body, surrendering to the storm. This move wasn't reckless. It was her only shot at survival. Awa knew the storm would overpower her, but instead of resisting it, she would flow with it. By letting go, she hoped to reduce the tension on her paraglider and let the storm carry her rather than fight it. The storm, it seemed, had other plans. It wasn't finished with her yet. Higher and higher she was dragged, the air growing thinner and the temperature plummeting to deadly extremes. Every breath was a struggle, a painful gasp for air in the suffocating atmosphere. Her heart was racing, pounding as if it was trying to escape her chest, but her body was slowing down. The cold, oh the cold, it was everywhere. It was inside her, freezing her limbs, numbing her thoughts. Her fingers no longer felt like her own, stiff and unresponsive. Her toes were completely numb, and she couldn't tell if her feet were even there anymore. She was losing control of her body, losing her ability to even think clearly. Her vision blurred, her mind clouded by the lack of oxygen. The world around her began to fade, slipping away like a distant memory. In the chaos of her mind, Ewa tried to recall her survival training. Stay calm. Control your breathing, conserve your energy, but none of it seemed to help as her senses dulled and her consciousness slipped away. And then everything went black. When Ewa regained consciousness, she had no idea how much time had passed. She was still in the storm, still caught in its grip, but something was different. The wind had eased just slightly, enough for her to realize that, against all odds, she was still alive. Astonishment flooded through her. She had blacked out, lost control completely, and yet, somehow, she was still floating, her paraglider intact. It made no sense. She should be dead, but she wasn't. The storm had dragged her to the edge of death and then, inexplicably, let her go. Her body, though, was barely holding on. Her hands were blue from frostbite, her feet felt like blocks of ice, and her muscles screamed in agony from the relentless cold and the strain of holding on for so long. She was weak, so weak she wasn't sure she could move. But there was no time to dwell on that. If she wanted to survive, she needed to act. This is where another survival instinct kicked in: slow, deliberate movements. She knew from her training that sudden, jerky motions could make things worse. With trembling hands and what little strength she had left, Owa began her descent. The storm, though still dangerous, was weakening. Her paraglider responded sluggishly, but it responded. Her mind was a battlefield. Terror still clawed at her, and exhaustion weighed down her every thought. But through the fear, through the bone-deep fatigue, one thought kept her going: I'm still alive. I can make it. As the clouds thinned and the ground came into view, she felt a flicker of hope. The world below was no longer a distant memory, but a tangible goal. She could see the earth beneath her, feel the pull of gravity bringing her closer to safety. She was going to survive this. She had to. When her feet finally touched the ground, miles from where she had taken off, Ewa collapsed. Her body was spent, her mind a blur of disbelief, exhaustion, and relief. She had done it. She had survived a storm that should have killed her, endured conditions that would have broken most. The storm had dragged her to the very brink of death, but somehow she had emerged on the other side. Ewa's survival was not just about luck. It was about making critical decisions in the heat of the moment. When she let go of the control lines and stopped fighting the storm, she made a calculated choice that likely saved her life. It was about sheer mental toughness, resilience, and the ability to keep calm in the face of overwhelming terror. In the heart of that storm, when everything seemed hopeless, Ewa's years of training and experience had kicked in. She knew that the only way to survive was to stay focused, to fight the instinct to panic, and to trust that she could make it through. But even the best training couldn't prepare her for the raw, unrelenting terror she had faced. The storm was a force of nature unlike anything she had ever encountered, and it had taken every ounce of her strength, both physical and mental, to survive. When she finally stood up, battered and bruised but alive, she knew she had faced something extraordinary, something few would ever understand. It wasn't just the storm she had survived, it was the sheer, terrifying force of nature itself. And against all odds, she had won. Ewa's story is a powerful reminder of just how unforgiving the world of extreme sports can be. No matter how experienced you are, no matter how much you prepare, sometimes nature takes control, and when it does, you're left at its mercy. But her story is also a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Even in the face of overwhelming fear, when everything seems lost, we can find the will to survive. So, would you take that leap? Is the thrill worth the risk? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're captivated by stories like this, of survival, near misses, and heart-pounding moments from the world of extreme sports, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's more to come, and the next story might just leave you breathless.